How you doing out there, folks? It's me again. Now this is going to be part 4 of the videos I've been doing. I call it The Invisible Man versus Merrick Bank and the Robot. So if you haven't seen them before, I'm discussing about the harassing calls that I've been receiving from Merrick Bank. So if you have already viewed it, it's going to be a little bit different though. Each one is a little different. Okay, so let me see if I can go back how this all started. Well, in November of 2019, I started getting calls from Merrick Bank. And it was on the landline and cell phone. Now, they weren't really calling from me. They're calling from Marie because the account was in her name. So I realized that at the time, I just let it go for a couple of weeks just to see, but I was writing down all the calls. It's very important that you do that. I mention that all the time. You put the time, the date, the day, the number they use in any comments. You need to have that. It's very important. Okay, so that started. I waited a couple of weeks. So I decided to call the lawyer that I've already used for other accounts. And he gets it resolved. So as soon as I called him, he sent me the contract, and I signed it. And then I sent him the phone log. I typed in the computer for the cell phone separate and the landline. And the call stopped. First, the cell phone stopped. 2 days later, the landline stopped. So altogether, I received 19 calls on the cell phone, and I think it was 43 on the landline. That's only in a couple of weeks now, my goodness. I let that go longer, but I just couldn't, I didn't want to be bothered with it, so he stopped it. So I left it at that, and then what do you think happened? A month and a half later, right in the very beginning of January, I think of January 2nd, I get a call. What do you think? Merrick Bank. It started with a couple of calls at first, for the first couple of days. Then it started to be 4 calls every day. On the landline, not the cell phone. Something funny about it, isn't there? Why would they start calling again? The litigation's in. Maybe it took them a month and a half to figure what they're going to do, huh? They looked at the account, whether they know Marie passed away or not. She's the card holder, and I'm on it. They know there's litigation, but the litigation is in my name. And I'm an authorized user, so they can't say I don't have anything to do with that account. And both phone numbers are in my name. Okay, so maybe that's retaliation, huh? Well, the calls kept coming, like 4 a day. They didn't call on Sunday, I'm surprised. They used, I think it was 6 different numbers. And they all go back to the call center. They're all valid. So 4 times a day. Sunday, okay, Saturday night, Saturday day, all day, I would get 4 calls. Sunday, nothing. All day long, nothing. Well, maybe it stopped, And then Monday, nothing. So what do you think happened? 4, 4:30, 5, still 4 calls. Because I knew every day, when I got 3 calls, I know there's going to be 1 more. That's how good the system is, huh? Okay, so I waited a couple of weeks again. So I said, let me contact the lawyer because I know he's got litigation as pending, I called him, I let him know, I left a message, but then I emailed the phone log again, up to the point where it was. I emailed it. So he got it, and then the calls didn't stop. I waited another week or so, the calls still kept coming. I sent him an email again, and he answers me. And it says he's going to reach out to them. So fine, I waited again. Then I contact him again, and he says, we'll make them stop. Okay, I still kept getting the calls. Finally, speaking of the phone, look at that. You believe it? Now that call comes in right now while I'm doing this, and that's not Merrick Bank. Nope. It's one of those for that bracelet, to wear.
Hello. Please leave a message
Look at that. No, there's not going to be no message. None of those calls. Just like Merrick Bank. I would get a call like that. No message, nothing. It's something that I did get a call, but it's not them. That's what would have happened before when they were calling me. And I had the answer machine on. Okay, so we're back to this. So all those calls all together, I got 80 calls, over 80 calls. Imagine that. Within the month. And not on Sunday either. Don't you think that's too many calls? So finally it stopped. So now I don't know what's going to happen. The first case is pending. Whether he's going to add this onto it, like I guess you could call a rider on that case. He might do it separate, because 80 calls is a lot. If it's for the same account, got to be the same account. Remember, both of these phone numbers are in my name. And calling on the cell phone, you're supposed to give them permission. If you do, then they're allowed to call you. Okay, so back to this Merrick Bank. Now, how it all started. 2018. That's when we got the account. I've been paying the bills all along, and I wasn't wanting any more credit. You know, I had enough for both of us to pay. It's all used up and everything, and I'm trying to pay it. Of course, it comes in the mail, and I give it to Marie. I didn't even know exactly what it was. And her lack of interest is at an all-time low right now. So I figured, well, let her look it over. I'm not, you're going to say nothing, you know. All of a sudden, you know, her personality changed. She's got what you call a general anxiety disorder at this time. So she looked it over, and then she said, Frankie. I said, what is it? Merrick Bank wants to give me $600. I said, Marie, they're not giving it to you. She said, well, I'm pre-approved for it, for credit. I said, okay. She said, I don't understand what double the credit line. So I said, let me look it over, because, you know, I handle all the things. She said, yeah, you get 600. You're approved for 600. And we have to make 7 on-time payments. You know, she said, well, you pay all the time, so it should be no problem. I said, yeah, that's no problem. So I told her that then they give another 600. They just put it right on the account. Oh, I want it, Frankie. I want it. So she says, that means if you make another 7 payments after that, you'll get another 600? I said, no, that's only double the credit line. What you said would be triple the credit line. Let's not give them no ideas. Let Merrick Bank come up with their own ideas. She said, well, I don't care about that. She said, all I want is the credit that I deserve, you know. So I said, okay, you do deserve it. You know, I've been trying to keep up with the credit. You know, I got her credit better than mine, actually. Okay, so we went about. She says, I said, well, what do you want to do? By phone or by computer? She says, there's no paper application? I said, no, they're not doing that. They cut down on that. Paperless, they call it. She said, I don't want to do it by phone, because, yeah, you have to do it if it's on the phone. Computer, I can help you with it. She said, okay, do the computer. As much as she doesn't like the computer, she said, let's do the computer. Okay, let's do it. Went to the computer. I set it up. I said, Marie, you want to punch everything in? She says, oh, it's a keyboard? Oh, I can do it on the keyboard, yeah. I know she typed and all, so there was no problem there. Okay, I set it up. I got the, you know, all the cursors. I said, I'm going to put the cursor. You see that flashing? Now you punch in your name. And I did each one, the address and all. Then it got down to authorized user. And she knew what it was. I'll punch in your name. I said, yeah, that's right. You know, I'm the authorized user, and you're the authorized user on my account. You know, the way we were doing it. We shared everything. So she did it, and everything looks good. And she's excited and happy. I was glad to see that. Then it comes down to this disclaimer, whatever it is. And she said, what's all that? I said, let me explain it to you. And you have to check this. She said, what is it for? I said, you have to agree to give them permission to call you on the cell phone. Either with text message or, you know, with a regular call message with an auto dollar. He said, what's all that? She said, I don't care about that. Anybody can call you. I said, well, it's a law. You have to give permission. Because if you don't give permission, they're going to rescind the offer. She says, what? What kind of deal is that? Why even do that? Give you an offer, then take it back if you don't agree for them to call you? She said, look, I don't care about that. And she said, what do I check? She touched it there and checked it. I said, okay, now the rest of it, that's it. You have to hit submit. So I showed her. She touched it and it went in. She said, oh, it went in? I said, yeah, it went in. Should be no problem because you checked out, for the permission to call you. She said, that doesn't seem right that they can do that. I said, Marie, there is something wrong with that, but it seems like it. They give you an offer and then they're going to refuse it if you don't agree for them to call you. So I knew what it was all about. They want to call you if you don't pay, or late or whatever. So everything was fine. Then I said, now, I looked it up on the email because I had given the email address. And it came back, and right away, you know how they answer right away, because it's pre-approved. It says, your application has been processed, and you will be receiving your cards in 7 to 10 business days. So everything was approved. I told her, she said, oh, good, I can't wait. Now I said, well, I'm going to go over with you the next, few days, different things to be careful with, because you're not used to ordering over the phone, because that's what she wanted to do. And I knew that, I would order for her, but she wants to do it. She looks at the Spanish stories every day, and she sees all the things she wants to order. Things for pain, cosmetics, different things. And they're not too expensive. I said, I'll explain to her, don't give any of your personal information. That means your social security, date of birth, none of that. Don't give that. You don't need to. She said, I don't need to. I said, no. You got the credit card, they have that, and it's all approved. Credit card. Let them talk you anything you don't want. Do a one-time payment, because they want you to agree for every month. So every month they're going to charge you $20, whatever it is. Don't do that. Just do one-time payment. If you don't like it, whatever you order, well, don't order again. I went over this a lot with her. Make sure, because a lot of times she gets a little, excited and might just tell these people whatever they want, And I know she liked talking Spanish and all, too, so the cards did come. And boy, when the cards came, I said, here, I'll give it to you. She kind of knew what it was. She opened it up and saw the 2 cards. Oh, Frankie, look at that, beautiful. It's got because she had an eagle with like a flag background. It was nice. I showed it here on one of the videos. I showed it, the cards. So there is 2 cards, just 2 cards, and it's a Visa, 2 Visas, and it has my name on one and hers on the other, and 2 different names now. So I'm only an authorized user on that card. She's the card holder. I'm not a joint card holder. I'm not a co-signer, nothing, and we're not even married. No marriage license or nothing. So the whole me responsible for that card, well, going to be pretty hard to do. So everything went along fine. We got all the, buying what we wanted, and I'm transferring the balance, and I'm paying every month, and then the money went in, because she kept asking me. I said, Maria, it went in. And she was still, oh, good, that means we have another $600. I said, yeah, but got to remember, I'm making a payment every month. But it's not too bad, because I can pay other cards on there. We have so many cards, those catalog ones, the mail order, whatever you want to call them. You have to buy from them. Remember, there's a lot of them. We both had them. I was trying to pay hers down. So I was paying them, and I found out when the bill came in, it looked like I saw a cash advance fee. I said, cash advance fee? What's that for? It was $5. So every one of them I was paying, they was putting $5 on. I guess they figured I'm not using our cash to pay them. I'm using the credit. Since, see, this account is double the credit line. It's no frills. They don't have the balance transfer. They don't have none of that. So it's another way, another add-on fee. So I just let that go. I didn't care. I would have been better to take, say, I owed $100 on one, just pay that one, and then it would have been $5. And do another one the same way. But I thought by making those payments, like 20, 25, I would do them all in a few months. I would be knocking out all those accounts. So I still kept doing it anyway, so that was that. Reordered her things. She's very happy. I was happy. I was surprised. She got better, a lot better mentally, Physically still a problem. But I was glad to see it anyway. It was worth it. That card was, like I said, the last card that we got was this Merrick Bank. And we got it and all, and we both used it, and everything was okay. I paid it every month. No real problems, no nothing. Then all of a sudden, after this, Marie starts getting sick. We would go to the doctors every month, taking medications. We both had operations and all. And we're trying to stay out of the hospital, So I went to the doctors like I said, every month. And then he gave antibiotics and all, because she had this respiratory problem. It seemed to help a little bit. An inhaler, which she was using, and that helped. All of a sudden, she started getting weaker. She started coughing more. The antibiotics wasn't working. So I called the rescue, and she agreed to go to feel better. She went into the hospital. They took all the tests, and they found out that she does have respiratory distress, and she does have Alzheimer's and dementia, combination with some other things. And they contacted me, and they told me that she needs to go into a nursing home for long-term care, and she could come back home. So I said, okay. I found one that was nearby. I didn't know what to do. It's like a mile from where we live, and I could walk it. That's what I did, up and back. Because she was there. Once she got in there, she was a little bit in the beginning. She was still, because they got out of the hospital, they kept her a little longer. But when she got in there, in the nursing home, she started to respond, with the medications and, the treatment that they give. She wasn't happy about it, but I started coming there as much as I could, bringing her things to her and all that she wanted. And what do you think she asked about? The Merrick Bank card. You still paying them, Frankie? I hope so. They gave me that credit, and I don't want to mess it up. I said, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. Because, you can't have that here. You don't want to have no credit card here. Because these people, you would be missing it right away. So she told me what she wanted. She said, buy it with the card. I said, yeah, whatever you want. She wanted some things there that she liked, and I bought it. And I said, yeah, the Merrick Bank card, some fruits, different things that she wanted that they don't give her there, and snacks and all that. So I brought it. Everything seemed all right. Everything was going good. I kept paying the account. She seemed to be a little bit better. Then all of a sudden, I noticed she started to get the cough back, the congestion. I told them there, but they said, no, don't worry, we'll take care of it. Don't worry. And she started getting worse. Because they have so many different people there, they're shorthanded at the nursing home, and then neglect and all. I don't want to go too much into that. So I went there, went like 3 days close together, like out of 5, and she seemed about the same. So I waited I waited another 3 or 4 days. I figured, well, I'll wait and see. She looks a little bit better. They didn't call me or nothing, that she was getting worse. She wasn't eating at all. I found out, when I went. Her roommate told me she hadn't been eating for a day or so. I said, why don't they call me? They bring the food and take it back, and she's laying in the bed, going in and out of consciousness, I can't even get her responding, to respond to me. Finally, I start tickling her feet a little bit, and she said, stop that, Frankie. She answered me. So I figured, oh, well, she's still coherent. I don't want to bother too much. I told them, they said, don't worry, we're watching her 24/7. So I went home, and I was worried, and I just didn't feel, too good about it. I didn't like leaving her like that. But at least she knew I was there anyway. So I got home, and what do you think, 3 o'clock in the morning? The nurse called and said she passed away. They tried to revive her, but they couldn't. So I said, all right. I was very upset. I didn't know what to do. And then then we took care of everything, what we had to do. And then, of course, now I'm by myself after over 40 years together. I'm by myself. Don't know what to do. And then all these bills, started. I had already contacted a lawyer for some of them because now our income was combined. Now it's cut in half. Now I don't even. How can I pay them bills? So this lawyer, he took care of it all. He got settlements, and he stopped all the calls, and he did everything you could want, and no charge either. So I couldn't I'm happy with all that. So then I kept paying Merrick Bank. I figured why not pay and use it while I can, so at least I'll have, because I have a card with my name on it, and I wasn't having any problems with it. And all of a sudden, I'm starting to see I don't have enough money. I can't be paying them, because I'm short of money now. So I stopped, and then nothing happened the first month. I didn't think they were going to forget about it. All of a sudden, the calls started. I already told you, in November, the calls. I contacted the lawyer, and he right away took care of it. The call stopped and all. And like I said, a month and a half later, it all starts up again. In January, all them calls, 2020, now it stopped again. I mean, you heard the phone ring, but it wasn't Merrick Bank. It was one of these telemarketers or something. They do the same thing. They call and don't leave a message. Now, when Merrick Bank was making these calls, the reason they don't leave a message is if they leave a message or you talk to them, they're not allowed to call you for 7 days after that. I think that's the law. That's the reason why they don't want to make contact. So if they call you, you can't make contact because they don't leave a message and there's nobody there when you pick it up. So if you contact them, then you have to contact them on one of those numbers that they put up on the screen, on the caller ID. 6 numbers. I guess it goes to 6 different call takers there. So that way the calls will be distributed. So whatever number you would call on, it'll go to a different call taker. So back to all this now with all these calls. I told you how he got Merrick Bank, because I wasn't going to get any more credit, because we had enough. But because of the situation there with Marie and all, I did it. Because I figured, well, may as well, let her have it. At least it made her happy and all. I'm glad for that, It had a good thing. The whole thing is these calls. Now, the litigation went in, as soon as I told the lawyer about making these calls with the auto dollar, whether Marie gave permission or not. Evidently, they didn't know. Merrick Bank didn't know they were calling. They thought they were calling her when the call started in November 2019. Because it's her account. But then when the litigation went in, and my name is on it, well, then they probably looked and said, well, he's an authorized user on that account. So right away, the litigation is valid. The lawyer doesn't have to. He just told them he gave an example in the litigation. As I looked at it, he gave one day they call 5 times close together. That was an example. That's not a violation. That's unreasonable. He put it right into the litigation, making calls like that. That was only one day. How about all the other days they call on both lines? To one day I know I got, I think it was 7 calls in one day. I just happened to notice it recently. They call 5 times on the landline, and they call, 2 times on the cell phone the same day, with the same phone number too. Every day they use a different phone number. So look at that. I didn't even notice that before. 7 calls in one day. And when they were calling in November, they called on Sunday, 1 or 2 times. They didn't call it in January 2020. They didn't call on Sunday. See how they have variations of that? Now, if they want to make those calls so bad that you have to give permission, what's the sense of having a law? They know the law. Because they're not allowed to use an auto dollar to call on the cell phone. They can do it on the landline. But they have to put their name and phone number. See, on the cell phone, their Merrick Bank don't come up. At least it doesn't on mine. When they call you on the cell phone, their number comes up. And it might say Pennsylvania, whatever, New York, whatever the area code they're using, comes up on there. Or maybe none. Nothing might come up but the number. That's the reason why they're not supposed to call you. So what I was doing was, I know the phone number because it's the same number they called on the landline, they called on the cell. So every day when I, wrote it down in the phone log, I took the number and I entered it in the contact and I put Merrick Bank. So the next time they called on that number, Merrick Bank came up. So I knew who it was. I'm just telling you what you're going to have to do here. If you are being harassed by any Merrick Bank or any bank, make sure you keep a phone log. I emphasize this all the time. That's why I redo this for people who might not have heard it. You may not know what all that means. It's important. Like I said, you put down first the date. Always put the day. It's good to have it. And then the time's important, of course. We know that. Put 7:08 or whatever it was at PM, and then put the number they used and any comments. Anybody, in this case, there's no comment. Every day they call, the same number, and that's it. So it's important to have this phone log. You can't just put anything down. Because a lawyer, if there's litigation, he's going to put those calls down on the litigation, some of them. And if Merrick Bank, or any bank, they look at those, the numbers he put down, and if it matches up on their call sheet, they know for sure that you got proof that they called you. And you can always get the phone company to verify the calls on those numbers. But they can't prove they didn't call you. Because they can say, oh no, we didn't make no calls on that day. Well, it won't work. Because by having the phone log, you have it. You couldn't have that if they didn't call you. But if it matches, they have to show their records. And if their records matches yours, then you got them. The burden of proof is on Merrick Bank in this case. Why? I'm the plaintiff and they're the defendant. And since I sued them before they sued me, well, they're going to have to prove it. And it's going to take a while. I don't know whether the lawyer's going to count. The calls in January, about over 80 calls. If he's going to add that, like with I guess they call it a rider, put it on the same complaint, or he may try to settle the one complaint and use that as a, reference, and then maybe put another case in to show that they called after they called the first time again. Might be another case. I don't know. It's up to his discretion. I already told him. That's up to him. I know he knows what to do. He has a lot of experience and all, and I don't question anything he does. Okay, so in this case, we'll see. If the litigation, is going to take time, it's pending. I mean, for them to do that, I mean, there's something wrong. First of all, he has in the litigation, because he emailed me the whole thing, all the pages, and it says in there that, about all the calls that they made, and he said that they're trying to call me about a bill that's not in my name. He put that there. That's in there. Now, Marie has her name, and I have mine. I mentioned this so many times. It is not in my name. Now, they know I'm an authorized user. See, in this case, it can backfire on them because they're trying to stick the bill on me because I'm an authorized user. But according to the law, if a person passes away that has an account, the cardholder, the authorized user is not responsible unless, like I said, if I was a co-signer or a joint cardholder. But I'm not, and we're not married again, like I said it. We were together over 40 years, and we're not married. We're living as man and wife. We didn't need a marriage license to stay together. We needed each other. So that part, much they can do. That's what gets me with this. They wouldn't have called me again in January. There was still litigation in, but they still kept calling. I mean, that calling, is, they want to call. They just definitely want to call, because that's why they ask for permission. Why would they ask for permission if they're allowed to call? And first of all, again, like I mentioned when this application is pre-approved, that wasn't valid. Because they weren't supposed to do that. They're not combining an offer with a permission to call you. That's supposed to be separate. They might have some company doing it, or they may be doing it on their own, but they have to send you a separate thing requesting, that they can call you. We request that you allow us to call you, and that's it. If you say no, it's no. But they didn't do it that way. Another thing is, if I just noticed it, that's why I bring all this stuff up, because I notice different things, because I'm constantly checking everything. Like when you get the, you pay every month, got the receipt you send in, right? On the back is change of address. On the bottom it has for change of phone number also. You're supposed to let them know. And you know what it has? The very bottom line, it's got work number and cell number. How come it don't have home phone? Because the home phone is not in this whole scenario. They have to, because they have to give you permission to call them at work. They can't call you at work unless you give them permission. And the same with the cell phone. So they put those two together, and it says right underneath it, you need permission to call you. You're giving permission to call you on those numbers that you have put there. So there it is again with calling. They're not supposed to call you at work. If you tell them no, it's no, but they're still not supposed to. So all this is about the calls. That's what it comes down to. To have all these laws to protect the consumer, Merrick Bank, and I'll keep saying it, and any other bank that wants to use unethical tactics, that's what they're trying to do, circumvent the law. So they know, and as far as harassment goes, they're allowed to make reasonable calls, So reasonable means to call you, well, they can't call you before 8 a.m. or after 9 p.m. And that's what they're doing. So they're abiding by the law there, right? Not supposed to call to annoy you. Not supposed to do that. Because it doesn't say how many times they're allowed to call you. It doesn't say they're only allowed to call you one a day. It doesn't say that. That's where it's a little bit vague. Because it's going to be up to the person who's getting the calls, if they're annoyed or not, You think I'm annoyed? Of course I am. I'm as annoyed as anybody could be. Because first of all, to make those calls, like they did on the cell phone and the landline, both, over 60 calls in November of 2019. That was annoying enough. So I had the lawyer and I know litigation and all that, so I figured, well, now it's stopped. I can try to see if I get my affairs together and all, and I can have at least peace, from those calls, You see what can happen. At any time I could get a call, like I just got here, but that's okay. That's a normal, day-to-day procedure. Now, you know that. Because I'm expecting calls, on the landline. Because I'm doing a clinical trial now, and they do call me. They put their name on the caller ID, and they leave a message and all that. None of this nonsense, like I said. I call it nonsense. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make sense out of nonsense. And that's one of the problems. Okay, so back to the calls again, They keep on, wanting to call you, that they think that is something that they want to do, that really is going to make you pay them. To stop the calls, you mean you're supposed to call them up and say, oh, look, I want to make some arrangements, and then the calls will stop right away. Then what's going to happen? You can't pay again, and the calls are going to start. Well, the best thing to do is get a lawyer, like I said. The one I have, he's great. He's the best. He's a super lawyer, He's a consumer advocate. He's anything you could want, and plus there's no charge. No obligation or nothing. So you really have nothing to lose if you contact. I'm going to give you his name. His name is Paul Mankin. M-A-N-K-I-N. His number is 800-219-3577. That's 800-219-3577. Very important that you call him. And the Merrick Bank, I know he does Merrick Bank. He does different banks that he knows that he's pretty much, that do these unethical tactics. He knows that. He's been doing this for years. And he pretty much can get you a settlement for sure. Other banks, I don't know. He can still contact them and see if he can work it out. The main thing he'll do is stop the calls. Now, he stopped it from me all the time. This time, it's a little bit different. I don't know what caused all this. He stopped it in November and then started up in January. It's got to be something that caused that. But they're trying to collect it from me because they didn't know Marie passed away. I didn't tell them, unless the lawyer might not have said it either. Because really it's not the issue. The issue is that they're calling me about somebody else's account, whether she's passed away or not. But maybe they found out or something, but they start calling me. Well, maybe they still think it's her. I don't know. They might. Merrick Bank might, when they start calling in January, they might still think it was for her, because she is the card holder. But why would they after the lawyer has the litigation? But see, I put the litigation in my name. I'm the plaintiff. And Merrick Bank's the defendant, of course. So well, maybe that's it. Now, see, I keep coming up with more and more things as I do this. Okay, so the account's in Marie's name. So when they were calling in January, maybe they were calling her because I put the litigation in. Maybe they were trying to talk to her about it. I don't know. That's the lawyer and takes care of all that. You don't have to worry about all that. Right now, I know I got a case pending, and they could be owing me money for all those calls because the phone numbers are in my name. See, here's the issues that are involved here with this case. See, in most of the cases, as long as this is because Marie passed away, and because we had different names. That's the issues here. And they are calling me about somebody else's debt. It's not mine, Doesn't matter if we lived together over 40 years or not. And it's man and wife, it has nothing to do with it. That is not in my name. And they're calling for it. The way I look at it, they should have found out that stuff themselves. Because when it's late after 1 month, instead of doing that robo nonsense, they ought to have one of those customer care representatives call you. Try to call you, but they know when they do that and talk to you, they won't be able to call you again for at least a week or 7 days, as you might call it. And that's why. Because then now they can't call you now. They're not supposed to. So that's the reason why they don't want to make any contact with a live agent, because of that. Because they want to keep bothering you. They want to annoy you. That proves it. And I can prove that I'm annoyed, like I said before. I was annoyed in November. I'm upset enough. Marie passed away. That alone. I'm under emotional distress and economic hardship and all as it is. I don't need their tactics, So what really annoyed me was the most, to prove that harassed and annoyed me, was in January when they called again over 80 times. And I did contact a lawyer and all to try to stop it. It wasn't like I was letting it go because, I'm going to get them in more trouble. That's what really annoyed me. And from that point on, when they started that's when I started this bad mouth, as you might call it, on social media. That's when I started all this. And I've been doing it now. I'm still doing it, even though they stopped calling. I told the lawyer that if he wants me to stop doing this, on social media, I will. Whatever he says. He's running the show and he's handling the case. And I told him that. So far, because he knows I'm promoting him also. I'm doing all this on my own, I endorse this lawyer a lot. And every time I do these videos, it's like a testimonial for him. And I'm glad to do it. I appreciate all the hard work he puts in, trying to help the consumers. That's what he's doing, trying to help us. So if you're having problems out there to listen to this, what I'm saying, the sound of my voice, make sure you call him, It could be Merrick Bank or any bank, but if it's Merrick Bank and you're getting the calls like I am, or I was, make sure you contact them. It's a free consultation and all. So it's not a big deal. Again, it's Paul Mankin, 800-219-3577. That's 800-219-3577. I want to make sure you have that number. He'll answer maybe sometimes. He's got a secretary and all. Depends where you live. He's in San Diego and I'm in Philadelphia. So it's a 3-hour time difference. So wherever you're at, keep that in mind. You'll get a recording though. So just so you understand that. It doesn't make any difference. The laws is universal. It applies in every state, all those laws. For creditors and debt collectors. So it doesn't matter where he is. It just so happens Merrick Bank is in California there. I think where their lawyers are and all. So I guess that's another reason why he can deal with them better. Now this is still going on. And I'm still doing this. I thought about this because I was wearing this, I guess, disguise, as you might call it. It was about 15 years ago. Bree knows I was shoveling snow you know, where I worked at. She said, don't your face get cold out there? I said, a little bit. She says, you're wearing the knitted cap on your head. Why not cover your face? I said, well, I don't want to do that. So she took it and cut out the eye holes and all and stitched it. I said, look, wear it. I wore it. I said, I didn't want to wear it around too much. People might think I want to rob a bank, you know, like a bank robber. So I waited till I got to the store, and then I put it on, and the same mask that you see now that I'm wearing. And I was shoveling snow, and I had the what you call it, the camera on. It's an infrared. So, you know, black and white, it shows up, you know, at night it shows up. And it did look like the Invisible Man. That's where I got that from. So I figured, well, if I can be the Invisible Man, if Merrick Bank can use a robot to make those calls, you don't see them, do you? You're going to see nobody there that works at Merrick Bank when they make those calls. They're invisible, right? Well, I'll be invisible now. You won't see my face, okay? Even though I've showed it before, I don't have nothing to hide. But I just did it because another thing I noticed, you see those Geico commercials? They got Pinocchio, I like that one, and they do sequels. And they have the one with the woodchucks, I really like that one. And they probably made them all together, and then they keep showing them, and they call it a sequel. Well, this is a sequel. You know, the woodchucks, then they're throwing the wood in the water, and then the guy will come by, you know, holler, yo, you woodchucks, stop chucking my wood. And they keep doing it. It's funny. I kind of like this commercial. So, back to this. This is like a sequel now. This is the fourth one. I've been doing this with this Invisible Man versus Merrick Bank and the robot. The robot calls. That's why I started doing all this. But again, I'm doing it because I don't like it. I don't like what they did. It's not really personal. I know it's business with them and all. But I took it, you know, to heart. You know, I don't like those calls. And I just don't, you know, I understand every day they got to have a list, right? And they have that auto dollar. It'd be hard for some person to dial those calls, wouldn't it? Every day, so many. No message is nothing, you know. Now, one time, let's see, over 80 calls and over 60 calls, I have not heard one person dial it. Not one live representative dial those calls. Not one. But the only way, that means there's no contact made with Merrick Bank with me until I decided to call them. That's what they wanted. That's what they want you to do. They figure if it bothers you enough, you'll probably get mad enough and you'll call them. Because you want to tell them off or whatever you want to do. So I did call them. And I recorded it just like I'm recording now. I recorded it. It's on there. If you look up harassing phone calls on YouTube, it'll probably come up. All these videos will come up. You know, if you missed them or you want to see them again, or you probably, one of these is enough. Like if you're looking at it now, this is probably enough. If you get through this. So that's what happened with all these calls, you know. But I got upset over it, you know, a lot. The lawyer did stop it, and I talked to this representative, like I started to say. I called one of the numbers, any one of the numbers that they use to call you. They all go back to the call center. So I just picked any one. And then first thing, recording another robot. What's it say? Your call is being recorded for quality assurance. So they'll let you know it's being recorded. I want it to be recorded. I got a lot to say, you know. I want them to hear it. Okay, so I dial the number. I'm doing it right on the camera, just like I'm doing now with you, talking to you. And a woman picks it up. She didn't sound too good, too happy, you know, about her job, you know. So I told her right away. She said, what are you calling about? I said, look, this call is being recorded for quality assurance. She said, well, I don't agree. Then finally she said, okay. Then she asked me some questions. I gave her the information, and I said, well, the cardholder passed away, you know, a few months ago. She said, well, we didn't know nothing. It's not on here. I said, well, I have a lawyer. I have litigation against you. And she puts me on hold, right? And here's some music. I don't know. I call it funny music, stupid music. It was louder than her. What are they trying to do? Drown me out with that? So finally, she come back pretty quick. She said, well, we need a copy of the death certificate. I said, what do you need a copy of the death certificate? I'm not giving it to you until I check with my lawyer because of the litigation. You know, he may not want me to have to do that. And I told her, yeah, you came back and asked for the death certificate, but you didn't give me any condolences. You didn't say I'm sorry for your loss. All Merrick Bank is sorry for their loss of the money. Oh, this dummy here, she says, oh, well, they don't care about the money. Oh, no? Then why are they calling me all the time like they are? He says, there's anything else? I said, no, and that was it. You see the kind of people they have? She can even handle that call. She might get in trouble for that. You know, because she said about, you know, that they don't care about the money. And why, if they don't care about the money, they shouldn't be calling people like that. So many times like that. Just, again, like I said, the main thing is, keep a phone log. Like I noticed the phone log that I had, you know, when I first did it, it's 4 times a day, so that means there's 4 lines for every day. But I noticed they use the same number every day, that they, you know, a different number every day, but they used it for all the 4 calls. So, like, instead of putting 4 lines in the phone log, I only had to put 1 line. I put the date, the date, the day, and the phone number they used. Then on the next line, I put the calls. So I only had 2 lines instead of 4. I'm just telling you if you're keeping track, you know. These other companies may use a different number every time they call you, or they may use the same number and every day a different number, you know. So keep all that. That's important, I'm telling you. It's very important. If you are getting the calls, so make sure you write them down. It's important. And then how many a day? It's just sometimes the time that they called you, you know. They didn't call me at all in the morning. When they called in January, the earliest they called was 11:30 a.m. The rest of it's all in the afternoon and evening. So that's how they have it all set up. All that's set up. Can't tell me it's random. It's random in a way, but it's also set up to annoy, you know, whoever does that, you know, programs that. Because they're not going to call you 4 times a day to say, hello, how you doing? They're calling because they want to bother you. That's why their name is on the caller ID, so you know who it is. They want to bother you, so they know either you'll get tired of the calls, you'll want it to stop, and you'll end up calling them, and maybe they could get you to pay. Well, that's not going to happen here. I'll tell you that right now. They better get their act together, because it's all banks don't do this. They just don't. You know, some of the bigger banks than them, they don't do this tactics. I bet they don't have any lawsuits, hardly any. For different things, but not for these calls. I had other accounts that I didn't pay. We each had an account with the bank of Visa. We each had one. We had one in her name and I have one in mine. And I put us on each. I think we were authorized users on each one. So when this happened, I let the bank know because I wrote letters and told them, you know, about what happened. And then they called for me because we had the same phone numbers. And a lady called, left a message. I'm sorry about your loss, and we'd like to work it out with you. We can help you with it, you know, to resolve it. Called a couple of times, and finally I called back. They didn't call every day, and they didn't call 4 times a day. None of that. And they left a message, and I'm a live person, so I know that Merrick Bank is not doing it right. So I called that woman back, and she said, "Well, Marie's account, you know, we can't do much with it. It has to be closed, you know, that's it." I think you could say forgiven. And I said, your account, if you want to pay, we'll take off the late fees, and then we'll update it, you know, with the finance charges and all. And you won't be able to use it, but we'll make a payment that you could pay every month until it's paid up. But you have 3 months. We'll give you 3 months to decide. If we don't hear from you in 3 months, then we'll send it to collection. And that was the end of it. So it was up to me, you know. But not like this. Merrick Bank is a disgrace, you know. Like I say again, the lawyer I have doesn't charge you. You can get a free consultation, no obligation. So he deals with these banks. Now he is for the consumer. He's for us. That's important. And I just like to know how many people out there are getting these calls. I know. I cannot be the only one. I've got millions of customers. Over 1 million, I know Merrick Bank. Other customers have more than that. Other banks have more customers than that. There's got to be a reason, you know. So I hope that someone that does hear this now or later, whenever, that you fight back. You don't have to take it. I know the problem is when you have problems. I've had plenty with these credit cards. I have a lot of experience with it. The best thing you can do is contact a lawyer. Don't take the law into your own hands. The best thing. That's what the expression goes. I think I said it before that this Merrick Bank is a one-trick pony. All they know is that calling with those robocalls. A robot's dialing it, and with an auto dollar, however they're doing it, or they have a company do it. They want to bother you. Now, there's got to be no other reason than that. They're trying to bother you enough. What do they think? It's going to make you pay if you can't pay. A lot of people won't know what to do. They think that because they owe that money, that you can't do nothing about it. A lot of people don't know the laws. They don't know all that. They think, well, I can't afford a lawyer. How am I going to afford a lawyer? Everybody knows how expensive a lawyer is. How are you going to afford a lawyer when you can't pay them? If you can afford a lawyer, you may as well pay Merrick Bank then instead. So again, you don't have to do that. These lawyers, there's plenty of them, but I think I have the best one. He's a consumer advocate lawyer. So that's even better, because he really wants to help you. And the only way he gets paid, if there's a case and we win the case. Like, it could be where what'll happen is, say there's definitely no more calls. Might get the account paid off so you don't have to worry about it anymore. It's marked paid. And he's going to get paid. He's going to get paid for his fees and the court costs. Of course, now if he puts in litigation for you and you lose, he loses it. You don't win the case, he doesn't get paid. You still don't have to pay him. If you do get any money, he doesn't take a percentage either. So it's nothing to lose by calling him. It's only everything to gain. Again, you don't make any deals, because once you stop paying, on the account, you don't want to start paying again unless you can pay it off. Because there's a statute of limitations. I know everybody heard of that. In Pennsylvania, I know it's 4 years. Find out what it is in your state. So it doesn't count when you got the credit from that day. It counts from the last payment. So now I didn't pay, and in this case it don't count because that account is uncollectible for Marie. It's not in my name, but any of the other accounts that was in my name, this is months ago now. So 4 years, they're all legally forgiven. Plus it stays on the credit report for 7 years. So it's important that you know all this stuff. Because you sure don't want to go ahead and make a deal with a debt collector 2 years from now and realize that now the clock start running again. Now it's going to be whatever the years was to wait for it to be forgiven again. So the best thing is don't make any deals. Now if you can pay it, It'd be better just to pay it off. I wouldn't pay it to a debt collector either. Pay it to the company that you got it from. Say it's Merrick Bank. Call them and say, look, this account is 2 years ago I couldn't pay. Now I can pay. Can you give me a good price? And I'll pay it all. Do it that way. Don't go ahead and make deals. It's best not to do that with debt collectors, especially because they're only like scavengers, a lot of them. They get on their debts they can. Just like this debt in Marie's name right now. Now, if they're supposed to write that off Merrick Bank or discard it, whatever they do with that, because it's, she's deceased. Okay, so say they do all that. And a scavenger debt collector comes along and they look at the court records for Merrick Bank, in that state, wherever they are, and they see all those accounts. And they taken. Now, that's considered a zombie debt. If they take that account, one of those debt collectors, if they can get it, if they do get a hold of it somehow, and then they start calling, because they're going to call the numbers on there, which are going to be me now, won't be her, and try to put life back into that debt after it's already considered deceased, So that's why they call it zombie debt. They're bringing it back to life again, and And that's no good. So, you know, I'm in that situation. You're probably not. Your situation is going to be different. You don't have to put up with it, no matter what. So keep it in mind. You know, the Merrick Bank thinks that this system they have is so great. They must think so. You see how bad they want to call you? Look at that. They're not satisfied to call me in November, or Marie. What do? They called in January, a month and a half later. Start calling again. I mean, I don't understand how that can happen. Well, I know the way it's set up. They got a credit department, they got the legal department, the billing department, all these different departments, and each one doesn't know what the other one's doing. So some brainiac over there probably saw that. It was late, you know, not realizing there's litigation, and started the calls again. But they didn't call on the cell phone, did they? No. So I think I pretty much covered everything. And I hope it was helpful to somebody out there. I hope at least somebody that, you know, listens to my videos. Like when you listen to these videos, since they're long, you could put the description up and try to read it. It's not going to be I doubt if I could put much more in the description than I discussed here, but just in case you want to look at the description, you don't want to listen to the video, well, run through the description. But the main thing is you need to get a lawyer if you need help. And I'm giving you a recommendation for a really good lawyer. They're not going to find any better, I'm telling you. I know, I have a lot of experience. So I hope you enjoyed this video. And remember, this was the Invisible Man versus Merrick Bank and the Robot, Part 4. Stay tuned. There'll be more to come. Have a great day.